They thought feeding a human to their Apex Serpent would make a point a brutal reminder that humans Don T belong in their empire. But when the serpent's obsidian scales rose like living mountains and its eyes locked onto the terrified man, something ancient stirred. Instead of striking, the creature coiled around him like a shield. And then, before the arena crowd could even gasp, it roared at its own masters. A roar that didn't sound like hunger, it sounded like warning. So what did the serpent see in him? That they didn't? If that opening already has your brain buzzing, you're in the right place. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves a good HFY twist. It helps the channel more than you think, and it keeps stories like this coming your way, ready to dive deeper into what really happened that day. Let's break it down. The arena wasn't designed for justice. It was built for a spectacle, blinding lights, metallic sands, and 1,000 alien eyes waiting for the kind of entertainment that ended with bones. In the center stood the human they'd dragged from a crashed survey ship, clothes torn, wrists shaking. But his eyes? Strangely steady, as if he were trying to understand the logic of creatures who believed fear made them powerful. Above him, massive gates groaned open. The crowd leaned forward. Even the Empire's officers went silent. Their Apex Serpent was arriving, and nothing survived its entrance. The serpent's arrival shook the air before its body ever appeared. A deep, rolling vibration crept through the arena floor like someone dragging a mountain chain across steel. The guards braced themselves, spears trembling in their hands, but the human just watched the gate with a strange calm. Maybe he was too exhausted to panic. Maybe he understood something they didn't, or maybe this was what real courage looked like when everything else had been stripped away. Then the creature emerged. A wall of black scales slid into the light, each plate larger than a human torso. Heat rippled from its body as if it carried its own storm. Its eyes twin rings of molten gold swept across the arena with the slow certainty of a creature that had never once questioned its dominance. The crowd erupted, chants rose like thunder. This was what they came for, the ritual lesson, the reminder that their empire had fangs sharper than mercy. The serpent tasted the air, long tongue flicking like a whip. It turned its head toward the human, muscles tensed. The stands held their breath. This was the moment the Empire always celebrated, the exact second before a life ended. Only this time, something was off. Every record in the Empire agreed on one thing: the Apex Serpent didn't hesitate. It didn't consider, it didn't evaluate. It simply struck fast enough to blur, strong enough to snap bone and shield in a single motion. These creatures were living weapons bred over centuries, shaped by war and worship. So when this one lowered its massive head toward the human, the stands leaned forward, waiting for the inevitable. But instead of lunging, the serpent paused. Its pupils narrowed, not in hunger, but in recognition, an animal kind of confusion, almost like it was searching his face for something familiar. A ripple went through its body. Not aggression, not fear. Something far rarer, restraint. The guards traded sharp whispers. The handlers raised shock rods. The overseer barked commands. None of it mattered. The serpent didn't move. It simply kept its gaze locked on the human, studying him the way a lost creature studies the first thing that hasn't tried to kill it. Then it did something no serpent had done in 1,000 years. It lowered its head to the sand, inches from the human's feet, almost gently. The crowd didn't cheer. They didn't breathe. What kind of monster hesitates before its prey? For a heartbeat, the entire arena felt frozen, like reality itself didn't know how to process what it was seeing. The human stood still, barely daring to breathe, while the Apex Serpent kept its head lowered beside him. A creature engineered to kill, acting more like a guardian animal waiting for permission to move. The overseer snapped first. "Shock it, now!" Handlers stepped forward, rods crackling with blue arcs. The electricity cracked against the serpent's flank normally enough to send it into a killing frenzy. But instead of turning on the human, the serpent recoiled, curling protectively around him. Plates of dark armor folded like a living fortress, enclosing him from every angle. Gasps rippled across the stands. Someone screamed, someone else dropped a weapon, then the roar came. It didn't sound like pain or anger. It sounded like a promise, a low, rising bellow that vibrated through bone, metal, and air. The kind of primal warning a creature gives when it decides it will die before allowing harm to come to whatever it is protecting. The shock rods dimmed. The handlers froze. Even the overseer stumbled backward. Because everyone knew that sound wasn't just defiance, it was allegiance. And it wasn't to them. Panic spread through the command balcony faster than any creature in the arena ever could. The Empire had strict protocols for Serpent disobedience, swift containment, lethal force if necessary, but those rules were written with one assumption. The Serpent would never pick a target to protect. No one had imagined this scenario because no one believed it was possible. The Overseer slammed a fist against the railing. "Raise the suppression nets, now," generators hummed. Massive coils beneath the arena began to glow, ready to drop a web of paralyzing energy. But there was a problem. The Serpent had shifted again. Its enormous body formed a dome over the human, shielding him so completely that the nets would hit the creature first. If that happened, the human would be crushed under the Serpent's collapsing weight, officers shouted. Engineers hesitated. Even the crowd sensed the danger. "Fire anyway," someone yelled. But the order didn't come, not yet. Because the Empire's High Priest, the one who oversaw the creature's breeding rituals, stepped forward with trembling hands. "That Serpent loan only bonds under one condition," he whispered, "when it recognizes kin." A hush fell, kin, with a human. Below, the Serpent tightened its coil, as if confirming the priest's worst fear and the Empire's greatest threat. The Empire wanted a spectacle. Instead, they witnessed a myth being born in real time. The Serpent, an apex beast forged through generations of engineered dominance, kept its coil firmly around the human, refusing every command, every shock, every threat. Its golden eyes tracked the arena walls, daring anyone to approach. And for the first time, the human moved. Slowly, carefully, he placed a hand against the Serpent's jaw. Instead of flinching or snapping, the creature leaned into the touch, its massive body relaxing like it had finally found something familiar after centuries of isolation. The stands erupted into chaos. Some screamed treason, others whispered prophecy. The High Priest collapsed to his knees. "If this bond is real," he murmured, "then our entire history is wrong. Because according to their oldest tablets, half myth, half warning, the first serpents were not created by the Empire. They were found beside ancient, unknown bipeds who walked like humans, creatures the Empire believed were extinct. But here one stood, alive, touching their most feared beast like it was a long-lost companion." The Serpent lifted its head and roared once more, not at the human, but with him. In that moment, the Empire understood the truth. They hadn't fed the human to a monster. They had returned him to an ally,